It's late at night. The kids are playing quietly in the basement while their mother makes a late dinner. Marcus, the father and loving husband, is asleep after a long day of work. The seemingly peaceful neighborhood lays docile, cast in the soft white glow of the full moon, hung in the air. A door slams open. There's a commotion. The sound of pots and pans clanging upon contact with the floor echoes throughout the house. Marcus wakes up once the screaming starts. Loud at first, then muffled. Then no screaming at all. There's someone else inside the house. In hindsight, Marcus probably should have locked the front door before going to bed. Marcus stays quiet, motionless. The intruder does not know where he is or even if he's there. "Mom?" He hears his 5-year-old daughter call out from the basement. "No, stay quiet. Run if you have to. Just don't let them see you. Don't let him get to you," Marcus thinks to himself. But he doesn't say anything. He can't. That's stupid. And he could get them all killed that way. Marcus hears his youngest screaming, obviously struggling. Not for long, though, because her scream is silenced too, but not before she could muster out the strength to call out, "Dad?" The intruder, now well aware that Marcus is in the house with him, thumps down the stairs to the basement and shuts the door. In hindsight, Marcus should have had a phone installed in his basement. Marcus slowly swings his feet out of the bed, softly laying the soles of his feet subtly on the ground. He reaches under the bed and removes a shiny black revolver with a bright orange safety lock wrapped around the trigger of the gun. He had bought it in case this very thing happened, in case he needed to protect his family. His arm trembled while holding the pistol. He had never used it, nor even held it in his hand since he got it. It was cold, clunky, and metallic. It didn't feel natural. Thinking about what he might have to do and the uneasiness the gun gave him made sweat seep through his shirt and soak his forehead. Marcus starts palming the pitch-black ground around him, looking for the key to the safety lock, so he could arm himself against the criminal cooped up in the basement with his children. He slides his hand across the floor, sweeping up the dust that collected under his bed. The key wasn't there. In hindsight, Marcus should have left the key to the safety lock next to the gun. Creeping across the floor with his hands stabbing at the dark, he manages to make his way to the basement door. He put his hand gently onto the copper doorknob, his fingers tightly wrapped around the rustic sphere as he starts to slowly turn it in a counterclockwise direction. The squeaking of the latch blends with the subtle creaking of the house against the late autumn breeze. After opening the door, it doesn't take long for Marcus to realize his mistake. A large hand jammed through the opening of the ajar door. In hindsight, Marcus should have checked under the door for someone else on the other side. Marcus tries his best to put all of his weight onto the door and push away the intruder's hand, which was reaching out towards him, trying to attack him. Marcus slides down the door to evade the villain's grip, but in the process, he loses control of the door and it crashes open. Without a second thought, Marcus darts towards the bathroom door, forcing it closed and locking it behind him. A loud bang shakes the door and threatens to tear it off its hinges. A thought dawns on Marcus. He flicks the light on and acts quickly with no hesitation. He runs over to the sink and falls to his knees at the mercy of the cabinet that sat directly beneath it. Once it was open, he knocked down and tossed all the bottles and detergents that obstructed his path. In the back of the wooden box, he finds the key, half under an empty bleach container. He grabs the key with his right hand and lifts himself off the Lysol-drenched ground with his left. He starts to move towards the tub, but slips upon the puddle of window cleaner that he carelessly threw on the ground. In hindsight, Marcus should have been more aware of where he was walking. Concussed from the fall, he groaned and rolls onto his back. After a slight pause, he realizes where he is and gets right back into action. He slaps his right hand onto the ground and grabs the key out of the pile of ooze on the floor. All the while, the pounding on the door is getting stronger and all but cracking the door frame. Marcus fumbles with the key in his hand but manages to get it ready enough to unlock his weapon. Although he's still shaking tremendously, he reaches into his pocket for the revolver. But it's not there. He quickly makes a panic scan across the room, and the pistol is nowhere to be found. In hindsight, Marcus should have brought the gun with him to find the key. Filled with terror, he desperately attempts to find a viable weapon in moderation. The toilet's back lid seemed to be the best option, but as he began to move, the pounding on the door ceased. Marcus was caught off guard by the sudden stop and he froze. Time passed, and there was no sound emanating from the other side of the door. He contemplated checking the other side, but knew he couldn't make another mistake. It could be the end of him. He decided to grab his weapon and make a run or fight if need be to the gun. He couldn't wait any longer. His family needed him. He starts to slowly creep to the back of the toilet without a sound. He lifts the heavy porcelain rectangle and grips it with the best of his ability. Marcus approaches the door while maintaining his silence. Carefully, he touches the door handle and unlocks the door. A loud click is heard coming from the door. He swings the door open and dashes towards the direction of his bed, the dark still blinding him. His knees tap against the bed's wooden frame, and he knows where he is. Marcus crouches down low and grabs the revolver, quickly setting the toilet lid on the bed while he frees the pistol from its restraint. The safety lock snaps off with a twist of the key. Marcus stares at the gun with a little light coming from the moon through the blinds, his hands still shaking. Screaming is heard coming up the stairs. The voice is easily recognized by Marcus. It's his daughter, Julie. He springs out of his squat and races through the bedroom door. He's face to face with the intruder, who has Julie wrapped in front of him at gunpoint. Marcus instinctively raises his gun level to the man's villainous face. Stop. Put it down. Julie's captor called out with a calm, natural voice. There's a pause. Marcus can't put down his gun, though. He knows that the man will kill him and his family if he does, for if he didn't plan on killing them, why would he use his real voice? Marcus pulls back the pistol's hammer and aims it to the best of his ability, quickly pulling the trigger. In hindsight, Marcus should have checked if the gun was loaded.